All right, I'm gonna just say continue. Okay. Hi everybody, I'm Karina. I work at Michael's in the marketing department. Like I mentioned, I did want to go over our supplies that we're gonna need for today's class. So if you could do the top down so we can go over the supplies. We are gonna need some brushes. For today's class, I have these Creatology brushes, and we'll go through exactly which kind you'll need. I find that a wide brush like this is really great for painting the rocks, the base coat. And then a thinner brush, thinner bristle brush like this. Can you see that?
It froze up on me a little.
Hold on.
So I can't really tell you, sorry.
No.
A little more to your right. Okay, it's back.
There we go. It was asking me about the audio. Okay. And we have this narrower brush. That'll be nice to make the lines for the rainbow. And what else? Oh, you can use the end of a brush, to make these little coins. I used here, this is gold. I used a paint pen, but I also tried to use yellow. So I'll walk you through the kind of paint that we need. So I got this acrylic paint set from Creatology, from the Michael's Kids department. They did not have the bigger version with all of the extra colors. So if you guys are like me and only have primary colors, we can learn today how to mix colors to get the colors of the rainbow. So we don't have an orange in this assortment, but we can easily make orange with red and yellow. And this light blue is the sky blue we don't have, but we can easily mix blue and white and make a lighter sky blue. We also don't have green in this assortment, so we mix a lot of yellow and a little bit of green to make the green here. So that'll be a fun little lesson. If you don't, and if you already have those colors, you're way ahead of the game. For the rocks, you can choose any rocks. I chose the ones that were less rough so that I can try to have a nice, more flattened base to draw on. But you can choose any rocks you have. These are from the Michael's floral department. They're more decorative in nature, but these are nice because they're not waxed. They don't have anything on the surface. And I do have some kind of already prepped. I have started this has one base of the acrylic paint. I do want to get started because some of the paint does take a while to dry. But I do want to answer any questions that you might have about the supplies before we get started, and then also give you some alternatives on paint. So if you don't have the Creatology acrylic paint, what you can use instead of that.
Okay, so we have a couple of questions about the rocks. Is it okay to use white rocks?
Yeah, of course. And if you have white rocks, that might actually save you a step on covering, like adding an extra coat of paint. So some of these, because my rocks are darker, to make sure that the color came through, I added 2 coats of paint to these. And so that was one of the reasons why if you have a white rock, you'll be ahead of the game.
Perfect. And how many rocks will we be needing today?
Today we'll only need 3. If you want to make all 3, there's also a shamrock that we're gonna make. So one of them, the base color is gonna be white. The other one, the base color is gonna be this sky blue. And then the other one, the base primary color is going to be green for the pot of gold.
Perfect. What else? Do we have to do exactly the same patterns that you're doing?
No, of course not. This is just what I'll be demonstrating today, but you can get as creative as you'd like. You know, and I'd love to know what you guys are gonna paint.
Perfect.
So I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the paint mixing, since that's an extra step that I'm gonna have to make.
Sorry, it looks like your overhead.
Did it flip?
There's some sort of glitch there. Sorry about that, guys.
There we go. Hold on. There we go. Does that work?
It's upside down, but I think we might be able to see it just as well.
Okay, hold on. Go.
Now it's on portrait mode.
Sorry.
There we go.
Okay. Okay. So here we go. All right, we're gonna get started. So if some of you already have like a sky blue color, even like a turquoise color, I also have this craft paint that makes it easy to, but if you guys are like me and you'd like to learn how to mix colors, we can get a little bit of this blue, a little bit oops, getting messy over here. A little bit of this white on my plate. And like I said, I'll grab a kind of a wide bristle brush here. And I'll start to just grab a little bit of the blue and mix that in with the white to get that light blue. There we go.
So we have a couple questions here about if they can watch at another time. And sure, you can just watch right now if you want. It's being recorded, so you can always go to the Michael's Classroom website. I'll post that in the chat right now and go back to it whenever you feel like it.
Yeah, of course. So I'm gonna paint this rock that I already have a base coat on so that I can show you, so we can save a little bit of time on the drying part of that. And then you just cover the rock. And if you want to cover it entirely, so the good thing about painted rocks, and I've seen them around my neighborhood, is that you could keep them as a collection in your room, or you can share them with the world and just go out and have them place them somewhere in the park nearby. And then I always, when I go out on my walks or my runs, I love finding like really cute painted rocks with inspirational messages. But so here I've got my sky blue rock ready. I think I'm going to turn it over so that I can draw the rainbow on this side because it's more flat. And I'll set that aside to dry.
So Karina, just real quick, do we need to do a base coat? And if so, what would be the best color for that?
So the base coat, I tried it 2 different ways. I tried doing, depending on the color rock you have. So let's say you have a white rock, I would say you probably don't need a base coat. If you have a dark colored rock like I do, I would say a good base coat would be either the same color that you want it to be, like the blue, or white. White would be a good base coat. So, so either color, but it also depends on the kind of rock you have. And so I'm going to set that aside so it can dry, and we'll get started on the white rock that I have. So I had a base of white. I'm going to add the second layer. I also have a cup here of water, so I can use the same brush. And so today's class seemed to be really popular with you guys, so I wanted to share a few fun St. Patrick's Day trivia and questions. So we all know St. Patrick's Day is a global celebration of Irish culture. We have so many people at Michael's who love St. Patrick's Day. And St. Patrick is the patron saint of Ireland. St. Patrick, although you might be surprised, was not Irish. He was actually from Wales. And then the shamrock, which is what we're going to draw on the white rock, is the Ireland's national flower. So that's a few fun facts there. And you.
Sorry, how long would you say it takes to for the paint to dry?
I would say at least maybe 10 to 15 minutes. It just depends on the kind of paint you have. If you have the paint that I have, which is acrylic paint by Creatology, it will take about 10 to 15 minutes depending on your temperature. And if you have acrylic paint like this Craft Smart acrylic paint, it's craft paint, it'll cover a little bit better than this acrylic paint, and you might not need a second coat. So it really depends on the kind of paint you have. If you have this craft paint, it is meant to cover with one coat. And for these, because they're specific for kids, they are a little more easier to remove, and they take longer to dry. Because, for instance, if you're having fun making a mess, getting dirty and being creative, if you get it on more surfaces than you want, you have more time to clean it up. So I think that's part of the reason that these are formulated a little bit differently than the craft paint.
Perfect. What about watercolors? Would you recommend that?
No, watercolors will definitely not stay. They'll wash out. But if you are using watercolor paper instead of painting on a rock, then yeah, of course, go ahead and make your rainbow, make your design on a watercolor paper. But it definitely won't stay on the rocks.
Good to know.
Like a whitewashed look, if you had a white rock and you dipped it like in watercolor paint, like almost as if you dip dyed it, that could work. But it wouldn't be as opaque. It definitely would not cover completely. So I have my white rock painted, so I'm going to set that aside. And we'll get started on the green. So because I don't have green over here, I'm going to make green with some yellow. And to make green, so the more blue you add, the darker the green will be. So you don't want to add too much if you want your green to be a little brighter. So if you want a brighter green, try adding just a little bit of blue. And when you're mixing it, just start mixing a little bit of blue at a time in, and then you can figure out what kind of green you want. If you want it darker, you add more blue. If you don't want it as dark, you want it to be more a brighter green. You see that? I really just barely touched the blue, and this is the green that I'm getting. I really love mixing colors like this. It's fun. I'm going to add a little more blue. So right now it was like a lime green, and now it's turning darker. You can grab a little more blue, make it a little greener. There we go. I like this color. I think I'm going to stick with it instead of making it darker. So I have my green rock that I already painted the first coat on. So I'm going to go ahead and.
Karina, could you paint a little? There you go.
Yeah.
Just off camera.
There we go.
So we have a question about can we paint on foam if we don't have any rocks?
Foam, yeah, of course. Foam will work. It'll just, I'm trying to think if it might take a little longer to dry. It just depends on the surface, but yeah, you can certainly paint on foam. With acrylic paint, should stick to foam.
Perfect. And we have someone wrote, they have a fun fact about St. Patrick's Day. So did you know that the original color of St. Patrick's Day used to be blue?
I did know that. I had that on my list of trivia. I'm glad thank you for sharing that.
They beat you to it.
Yeah, they sure did. And I only found that out today. I did not know before. So I'm sure a lot of people have not heard that before. And I actually went to Dublin when the first time I visited Ireland. I went to Dublin around St. Patrick's Day, and I was surprised that I feel like the celebrating here in the States is a little more intense and festive than it is even in Ireland and Dublin. So this is years ago, but still I was like amazed that, you know, it feels like it's a bigger deal here. And one of those examples is we have a coworker who is from Chicago. And did you know that since 1962, the Chicago River has been dyed the color green to celebrate St. Patrick's Day? It's a long time of celebrating St. Patty's Day with a green river. So
I think that's pretty cool.
I'm setting my green rock aside now to dry. And in the meantime, I also want to get started on mixing the colors for the rainbow that we need to create. So the colors that we need to make, which I already have green, and I already made the sky blue, which I don't necessarily need. I have red as a primary color. I need to make orange. And purple. Does anybody know what colors you need to make orange from the primary colors and what colors you need to make purple.
We'll give everyone a second to answer. In the meantime, can we use a shell instead of a rock?
Oh yeah, I think a shell would actually do pretty nicely, especially if you were making a rainbow.
I think so too. Okay, so we have red and yellow.
Yes, that's for orange.
And then red and blue.
Exactly. All right, so I'm adding more yellow here. And a little bit of red goes a long way to make orange. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my red over here, kind of far away, so that I can take a little bit of red for my orange and a little bit of red to make the purple when I get blue.
So Mateo is asking if he can paint a leprechaun.
Oh yes, if you do paint a leprechaun, I'd love to see that. You can have your parent share a photo of your leprechaun on our social media with the hashtag #MakeItWithMichaels so that we could see it. That would be amazing. I myself I'm not confident that I could make a leprechaun, but I would love to see your leprechaun. So I really just dabbed a little bit of the red into the majority of this yellow. And that's about a pretty good orange to me. So because I'm only using this for the rainbow, that's more than enough. And
so Karina, if someone doesn't have red, can they use pink instead?
oh yeah, you can use pink. It'll probably turn out, the color you make may turn out to be more coral, but I love the color coral. It look really, really pretty. You can make your rainbow as any colors you'd like, but these are just the traditional rainbow colors. And then for purple, just gonna add a little of red at a time. Into the blue. My son likes to correct me. He calls it violet, not purple. Violet.
So Karina, do you have to wait for the paint to fully dry before you paint the rainbow on it?
Yes, and I found that that's the hardest thing to do is wait, because if you don't wait, and I'll show you an example of my not waiting. So here, it kind of smeared a little bit when I was trying to go in here. I actually had to go back in and try to fix it because the bottom coat was not completely dry yet. The good thing is you only really need to wait for one side, the top side, to dry before you start painting, because as you can see here, it wasn't completely dry, and some of the paint came off. But yes, the colors aren't going to stick that well if you don't wait. So let me go back to the
how long would you say, for people who did a second layer, how long would you say that takes to dry?
About the same amount of time as the first, so about 10 to 15 minutes. I'd say right now it's been at least 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes since we painted this one. It's feeling just about ready to paint on it. So we can get started on that. It's still a little wet, so if you have more time to wait, you can wait. But for the purposes of this class, I'm going to go ahead and get going. Okay, so I'm going to grab a kind of a smaller, not as thick bristled brush for my rainbow. And the first color of the rainbow that I start with is red. And I have red over here. So I'm gonna put this up a little closer. And we're just gonna make a U. A little loop here for that rainbow. Okay. And it's a little thick, so I'm gonna see if I can maybe switch up the brushes. Let's see if this one will work a little bit. It's a little thinner. Now we go into orange. So we may have to go back to this one because the red is still not dry. We may have to go back into it after it's dried a little bit. But like I said, I love mixing colors, so I like the effect it gives when the colors mix together like that. Okay. Now we need some yellow.
So Karina, we have a few people who seem to not have the primary colors. What would you recommend for them?
I would say make a rainbow with any colors that you have. I've seen all kinds of rainbows. So I was actually trying to find decor for my little daughter's nursery in like rainbow designs. And I've seen rainbow designs using, 4 different kinds of pinks and 5 different colors of yellow. So whatever colors you have, you can make a rainbow with it.
Sounds perfect.
Okay. I'm gonna grab some yellow right out of the jar. And like I said, ideally you would want to wait between coats. And another thing you can do if you want to try using paint pens, you can try paint pens to draw the rainbow to make the lines a little more precise. That's another way. I'm going to grab my green from over here.
So Karina, how would you, is there any, like, how do you prep the rocks before starting?
I did not prep these rocks at all. Like I said, it depends on the rocks that you have. If you have rocks that have a special, sometimes there are rocks that you buy at the store that have a coating on them. I've learned that if you have rocks that, let's say, are shiny, it's typically because they have some type of wax on them, and you need to clean off that wax in order for the paint to stick. If you do find that your rock that you have is shiny, then what I've learned is you need to clean it in warm water to get the wax off. But for mine, these I got, they really just look like normal rocks. They feel a little rough. They feel a little dusty even, and I didn't clean them. I didn't do anything special to them. Maybe I should have, but no, they're working just fine like that.
Perfect. And what would you suggest for sealing them if someone wants to put them outside?
Oh, okay. That's a good question. I think I haven't tested any of the ones that have dried, so I don't know. I think Mod Podge. There's like a kid safe Mod Podge, a kid's version of Mod Podge out there that would work. And I think there's also like a glue solution that you can make, but I think Mod Podge would be the easiest way to do it, to seal.
Perfect, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So I have my blue, and then we'll add the purple rainbow. And I made way too much purple for this little piece, but it's okay. There we go. Now we just have to wait for it to dry. And what I did for the first one, for this one, once it dried a little bit, is I went back in and cleaned it up a little bit. Because right now it's a little messy because the paint wasn't completely dry when I tried to add the other color, and then they start mixing together. But I don't know, I like it that way. Okay, so now let's go back to the white rocks. So this white rock, we're going to add a shamrock to it. And a shamrock, for the shamrock, we need green paint. So let's see if we have enough with this over here. So I wish I had one to show you. Maybe, no. I have the shamrock, just looks like it's a 3-leaf clover with, it looks like 3 hearts. So let me see if I'll get a pencil and I'll draw it. It looks like it looks like 3 hearts combined with a little stem. So that's what we're going to try to paint in green. So go in here. And I think I need a different brush. So, a little bit messy. Let me get some more green. So 1 heart, 2 hearts. Okay. The 3rd heart. And
So
then
Corinne, it looks like a few kids are having issues painting it directly onto the rock. Is it possible to do it with a pencil before painting it on the rock?
if your paint is completely dry, the pencil might work. Yeah.
Perfect. And we have someone saying that this craft is very fun.
Oh, good. And then you might want to, and I think I might do this too, you might let this dry a little bit, and then you can always go in with like a darker green color later and just outline it so that you can really add more definition to it. But there's our clover. And then the image that we had for the project had really cute little polka dots, green polka dots. And if you wanted to do that, you can just grab the end of your paintbrush, dip it in the green, and then just go in and add little polka dots. But of course, you can get as creative as you'd like. This is just an example. But I do want to get to our pot of gold, so I'm going to stop the polka dots here. Put that aside.
So Corinne, we have a couple of questions about the paint. First of all, can we paint the rocks with crayons?
I have not tried it with crayon, but something tells me it might not stick. We do have kind of these waxy crayons that we sell that might work. My son actually has some. I could go grab them and try it, but I would say try it on a part of the rock and see how it sticks to experiment. But honestly, I don't know how well. Depends on the crayon, but I would guess that it probably wouldn't work that well.
Okay, good to know. And someone's asking about regular paint. Is that I'm not sure what they mean exactly by that, but could you just mention like what paints would work best for this? Again.
Yeah, I think the best paints for this would be acrylic paint. Craft paint is typically acrylic paint. So I am using this set that I got is the Creatology Kids brand acrylic paint, but there's also, we have craft paint in the craft aisle, and they come in these little bottles, and that is also acrylic paint. It's just in the craft paint aisle, and this is in the kids section. So I know that Crayola also has acrylic paint. They have a washable and an acrylic paint. If you use washable, it's not going to stick as well. So just FYI. Okay, so it looks like my green rock is still fairly wet. It's sticky, but I'm going to attempt to make our little pot of gold here. So I need a dark color. I have here black, so I'm going to go ahead and get black.
So we've had several questions about the gold. If we don't have gold, can we use yellow instead?
Yeah, of course. So this is the one that actually had started with yellow, and I covered it with a gold paint pen. So I have this stack of paint pens that I was playing with, but I had a yellow. I had used yellow before. Okay, so I'm gonna grab a new brush and so the pot is just like a little circular, it's like a round semicircle right here. So let's see if you can see that pretty well. Whoops, I'm at an angle here.
There you go, that looks great.
Okay. And now what I tried to do with a yellow is tried to use the end of the paintbrush to just make little polka dots to make it look like little coins, little yellow coins. So I'm going to try to do that again with the pointy end of a paintbrush.
So Karina, what happens if we don't have black? Can we make it?
Black. I think you can try to make a very dark color with like red and blue. So my purple, if you look at it, is pretty dark. So I would go that route if you have red and blue. Try to mix those colors together. I also have brown. You could use brown if you don't have a dark color like brown. That would probably be my best recommendation. So here, I'm going to use the end of my paintbrush and just dab it to make the little coins, the gold coins.
So Terry is saying that optical black is mixing red, blue, and yellow together.
Ah, thank you. I knew there were some artists out there who knew the right answer.
Some people know a lot of stuff.
Yes. You should be teaching this class. Okay.
So Diana says that she was able to get the red, orange, and yellow on the rainbow. Can she use light green, then blue, or was it purple at the end of or for the last color?
Yeah, the last color I had was violet. Yeah, purple. But you can make it in any order that you'd like. We usually go from that red, orange, the lighter colors, and then the cooler colors.
So Anjali painted the pot of gold and then put the shamrock on top of the gold.
Oh, I love that. I also saw you can add the rainbow, like it's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So if you wanted to add a rainbow to this, you could. Like, I kind of ran out of space on my rock here, but I tried to do that. Where's my, here it is. I tried to do that here, but I was using paint pens. I didn't have yellow in the paint pens, so you can't see the yellow. And the green was pretty dark, so that's a little bit hard to see. But if you wanted to add a rainbow to it, you could. You could make it however you'd like, but I'm excited you guys are making it your own, because that's the fun part about getting creative. Any other questions before?
We have one question about, so if you don't cover it with Mod Podge, what happens if you put it out in the porch? What happens if it rains?
Likely it may start to wash off. So it might start looking like this. This is the bottom part of the rock. This was only one base coat, but I mean, here's some water. I have some water in my, it'll start to just erode the color. It'll take some time, but it will start to come off. But if you want to preserve it, I would say add a layer of Mod Podge if you can.
Perfect. And to make the rocks dry, would you recommend putting them out in the sun?
Yeah, I think that could help. I think just being, even if you had leaving it out so that the wind can help dry it naturally, I think that would help a lot. I was just starting to blow on it earlier, and it actually was drying quicker than just letting it sit there. So I think that could help.
So how many layers of paint do you use for the pot of gold?
I usually just do 1 to 2 layers. Are you talking about the base coat? I'm guessing she's talking about the base coat.
I don't know.
Yeah, so the base of the rock, I usually do 2 coats. If you're talking about the pot itself, I don't do more than 1 layer. You might want to go back in and add another layer for, the yellow, but my yellow kind of seems to be sticking pretty well. It just depends on the paint you use. Again, I have this craft paint over here that is a little bit different consistency. It's still acrylic paint, but it may stick better. Yeah, it seems to be sticking better, which again, I think it's designed this way because it's craft paint, and the acrylic paint that we use that is formulated for kids, I think is meant to not dry as quickly, because we want to make sure we can clean it off of surfaces should it get on surfaces or clothes, etc. It would be a little bit easier to wash off than, and it's not to say that it's completely washable, it's just to say that it wouldn't ruin your clothes as much as craft paint might. So I know my son has gotten craft paint over his clothes and it has not come off. But that was my fault.
So Karina, we have a couple other questions about, is there any alternative to Mod Podge? And also, what would happen if you put your rock outdoors, but it's like sheltered? There's a roof on it.
Oh yeah, it should be fine then if it's sheltered. And then alternative to Mod Podge, I think that's a good one for me to take back. I haven't tested it myself, so I don't want to vouch for it, but I have heard like if you water down glue, that can serve as like a sealant almost to a rock, kind of like Mod Podge, but I haven't tried it, so I don't know how well it works.
Okay, perfect. And we just have one last fun fact from Angela.
Okay.
He says, did you know that people wear green on St. Patrick's Day because they believe that if they wore green, it would make them invisible, and by being invisible, they wouldn't be pinched by a leprechaun.
Wow, I had no idea that was the reason why. That's awesome. Thank you, Angela.
Yeah, and I think that's it for questions right now.
Okay, I have one more question for you all. So according to legend, what animal did St. Patrick chase out of Ireland? Let's see if we have any guesses.
Give them a few seconds. Snakes.
Snakes, you're right. And
I have a very smart group today.
yeah, snakes are not native to Ireland anyway, but that is an interesting legend for sure. Well, thank you all so much for painting rocks with me. I hope to see them out in the neighborhood when I go out for walks with my son. I have a ton of more rocks to paint with him. So I'll leave you all, and thank you so much for crafting with me again. And please have your parents share the images of what you created on social network channels using the hashtag #MakeItWithMichael so I can check them all out. I love to see all your creative ideas there. Well, thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.